Well, we're getting closer and closer and closer to the end of the Wednesday Night War. Some of you already saying AEW won. Others are saying, what's the point? I don't think it really matters, but the fact remains AEW continues to find success with some ratings, even there have been up and downs. I know many fans who on both sides, some say screw AEW, others saying screw WWE. But however, we can say it was a good run, but frankly, it had to come to an end sooner or later. But as you know, I will continue until it's officially happened when I don't need to review both shows whatsoever. So, which show was better today? Let's discuss and review on this episode of Deleted WrestleZone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up. 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 Get up, get up.
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted WrestleZone. All things that it's pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, matches, wrestlers, and championships. I am your host, J Rod here. So, as I mentioned before, we're getting closer and closer to the end, but it's not officially. As you know, it's already been announced countless times that NXT will be having their shows on Tuesdays starting on April 13th, right after WrestleMania. But however, we need to review how everything did in ratings. Let's start with AEW. It turns out that their viewership and the 18 to 49 demographic took a dip. Last week for the viewerships, AEW had 752,000 views. This time, this past Wednesday, it went up to 700,000. As for the 18 to 49 demographic, it was last week a 0.30, but went down to a 0.16. Now, however, it's still good, from what I understand. Now, NXT is a different story. They last week they had 678,000 views. This past Wednesday they gained 654,000. So they took a dip in their viewerships. But however, the 18 to 49 demographic ratings went up a bit. Last week it was a 0.14 and now it went to a 0.21. Now you can say, all right, so now they're getting momentum on that. But however, I think it's too late to say there's no way they could beat AEW right now, since if you guys ask how is that even possible, the reason now this is happening, as the I know in the beginning some of you guys were talking about whenever NXT wins the viewerships, you're saying F you AEW, we won. But however, it was not the case back then. It was revealed the 18 to 49 the rating demographic was the most important one, because it kind of gave the indication that they still get good viewerships no matter what. And it's already been discussed many times over and over and over by me and various other people who talk about it. And of course, this led to having an extension by AEW from the TNT network to have their contract to go up to 2023, which kind of infuriated Vince McMahon. He would have thought that they were going to go away, but it didn't. And of course, people are talking. They've been talked that. Now the thing is, recently it was last year during the NBA Finals, AEW had to move their weekly um, showtime slot temporarily, but it did show another side to this thing, to the story. As you know, AEW did far more better in the viewerships and ratings when they're not competing with NXT. Now, there was a situation in reverse where NXT did two of their shows on a Tuesday and they did the same result. Now, it did prove over time that NXT doesn't need to compete with AEW because there's proof now that indicates fans watch both shows. Now, some of you who are from WWE are saying, "Oh, it's a load of crap, J Rod. You know it's true. That's not true." Well, it is. I watch both shows. Why do you think I do these things in the first place? But however, as you know, Vince McMahon did not like the idea of having NXT move on a Tuesdays, but the network are insisting on it because they want to move their sports channel whatsoever. But some of you WWE fans will say, why can't AEW move? Well, they can't. The network told them this is the only time spot that would allow them to not compete with the sports programming that they have. As you know, Tuesdays and Thursdays, they normally have like their sports, like basketball and whatever they throw in. But we had situations where some things were kind of overshadowed both shows. We're talking about the election, the whole thing with the riots, and many other things that took place. But it was bound to happen sooner or later. But I can say, right now, AEW won the war, no matter what it happens. But we can say that I think it's probably for the best for NXT moving on Tuesdays. We know they can get better views and better ratings from for their shows because I know they're really good, but now they're developing their story wise. So I think that's it for now for me talking about this. So let's review the latest AEW Dynamite. Alright, so let's talk about AEW Dynamite. First match, the opening match of the night, was the long anticipated in-ring debut of Christian Cage taking on Frankie Kazarian. Now, if you guys don't know this or not, they do have a bit of a history. 7 years ago, when they were both in TNA, now it looks like it's reunited. Now, I know many people say we haven't seen him wrestle that much, which is true. But I feel like maybe he hasn't missed a step. I'm sure he was training well enough to get back in the ring. Don't know exactly what direction they're going to go with him. But I have to say the match was pretty good to show that, okay, he still has it. I know there could be a little bit of the ring rust down the line. I mean, it's expected. But I have to say it was a good match. I did like how Christian put up the effort to not to lose the match. That kind of showed, okay, he still has it. But how this would affect for Frankie. Frankie put every spot he tried to put twice the crossface chicken wing, which is he displayed on AEW Dark Elevation against Danny Limelight. So, but however, Christian pulled off his finisher move, allowing himself to win the match, which is a good victory for him. So he is now 0-0 in the rankings. I know some of you probably are expecting maybe he will face Kenny for the title. We'll see down the line. I know he doesn't want to jump ahead because that is something that many fans are anticipating, that he's going to jump in right away for the title. I mean, that is something I would say, yes, it could happen, but I think he wants to take it a little slower, try to feel the environment of the wrestlers that they have, especially the new ones. Now, if you recall what happened last week in the main event in Dynamite for the TNT title, Matt Hardy decided to get involved after the match between Darby Allin and John Silver. Now, Sting and Darby had a little message, mostly coming from Darby. He said that he respected him when he was an enigma, all this other things that he's done, but being this big money Matt Hardy, it's like he's saying a point. What I like, it's like he's saying, you think money will buy you everything. But he did stated this word that kind of felt like it was a powerful message. He stated, money doesn't mean shit. Which is kind of like a very powerful word. But the real question is, how will Matt Hardy take it? Are we going to see a feud with Matt Hardy and Darby? I don't know. I mean, I would like to see it, but we'll see his response to that. Now, as you know, Jade Cargill has been making headways, having two amazing matches. One in the mixed tag team match that she was in with Shaquille O'Neal, and the other against Danny Jordan. She continues to prove that she is that person that it will be dominant and all this and that. Now let's get to the very match that a lot of people were waiting for, the unsanctioned exhibition match between Cody Rhodes and QT Marshall, along with special ref, the enforcer, Arn Anderson. It was a pretty. What I like about this match, Cody kept his word not to use the figure four leg lock or the crossroads. But at some point throughout the match, he snapped. He sheep shotted Arn Anderson, and no one knew what to make of it. Why would he do that? But something happened. It turns out that three members of the Nightmare family turned on Cody and the rest of the Nightmare family. Anthony Ogogo, Aaron Solo, and Nick Camarado. They all turned their backs on Cody, attacked everyone that stood in their way. Nick Camarado tossed Lee Johnson outside the ring into the little pathway, and then they brought a steel chair and they put Dustin Rhodes right through QT power drive them. But apparently he wasn't done. He wanted to hurt Cody by using a chair on his arm. But however, Red Velvet came out to stand up against him, telling him, how could you do this? You know, you a-hole, he was your friend. You know, and somehow Red Velvet was, in fact, able to talk sense into him. But the real question is going to happen next week. What does this mean? How many more people are planning to defect away from Cody to join QT? And of course, QT might say that he's sick and tired of Cody and all this and that. But as soon as the whole thing was over, they were about to give up. Red Velvet was doing interviews saying that she did what was right. But however, once again, Cargill got involved and kicked her and threw her through one of the crate boxes, telling her that she is that person. Basically, she feels like Red Velvet is taking the attention because she saved Cody. As you know, Jade Cargill wants all the attention to her, but it's Red Velvet who is currently had that. Now, recently we just saw an interesting development. It took place back in Elevation. We saw Scorpio Sky teaming up with Ethan Page. Apparently they have a very strong message. They are now acting as the team that are now being pushed to the side, not giving the better opportunities, but now they are stepping up, saying that if they're not going to get what they want, then they're going to take it. But it was revealed later on that both Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky will face Matt and Mike Sydal on AEW Dark Elevation, which I'm going to see how this one's going to be. Now, as you know what happened with Jon Moxley, he has his issues with Kenny and all that, but however, he began to question the Young Bucks. As you know, he doesn't trust anybody, but he said he owes the Bucks a thank you, knowing that they saved his life, knowing that Kenny was about to break his neck. So this thing between him and Kenny is not over, but right now he has the focus against Cesar Bononi, one of Peter Avalon's boys, in the match. Now the match was kind of interesting, as you know, between Jon Moxley and Cesar Bononi, but there was also a factor. It wasn't just Moxley against Cesar Bononi. It's him along with the Hollywood hunk, Ryan Bennett, and of course, Bennett's new buddy, JD Drake. But however, the match went exactly how it was going to be. Moxley defeated Cesar Bononi, sending another statement that no matter what, he will even go through anybody that stands in his way. So, however, what does this mean with the storyline between him and Kenny? We'll see when down the line, which I feel that he may have not get the title back, but he will somehow. Now, as you know, a couple of weeks ago, we saw Team Taz confronting Sting and Darby. But Brian Cage was the one who spoke. Well, I cannot say he spoke out of line, but he spoke out of line in front of Team Taz. Starks, Hobbs, Hook, and Taz. He spoke how he felt that Ricky did not was wrong about him, that he is not that same guy that people remembered him. So he gave him respect, and then all of a sudden things were like saying, okay, everything's fine, trouble in paradise. But this past week on Elevation, or was it Dark, Ricky Starks refuses to tag Brian Cage. So, and then all of a sudden they're in this thing where they say everything's fine, but Brian Cage feels like Stark was not being a team player. But I can say there looks like there's trouble in paradise within Team Taz, even if Team Taz doesn't believe that. But I think this could be the beginning where Team Taz doesn't need someone like Taz to speak up for him. As you know, that's what Taz does. He speaks up for other people without them. But if you look at Sting, he doesn't speak up for Darby. He knows that Darby can speak up for himself. So, could we see that happening? I don't know. So we'll see down the line what's going to happen with Team Taz. Now, as you know, MJF revealed what a weasel he has become, taking out the Inner Circle. Now, he did state that he had a gift for the Inner Circle, trying to get them brand new suits that are very expensive, which, will make them look good. But he did say what a dump the locker room where they're sharing. But however, there's the old phrase, karma will come back and get you. He opened the bathroom, and that's when he saw the Inner Circle members, Jericho, Santana, Ortiz, and Guevara. As soon as he saw them, he closes the door, he leaves, tells everybody that he leave. He opens the other door that gets them to the hallway, and there was Jake Hager. It became a brawl, but each of the individuals were involved in a fight. Sammy Guevara took out Sean Spears by giving him like a sort of like a GTS, and of course slamming his head, shutting the door on his head. And of course we saw Hagar and Wardlow running around the back, and of course Hagar slammed Wardlow through a massage table. And somewhere where there's the cold tub, you see FTR and Tully being dealt by Santana Ortiz. Ortiz put Cash through the cold dip. However, you see Cash actually bleeding out from his head and then spiking him with the table. And as for Jericho and MJF, they still in the locker room, and of course, he dunked his head through a toilet and then tossed him in the refrigerator. He drank a little bit of the bubbly, spraying on him and then tossing him, reclaiming their locker room. Now, keep in mind, if you guys know this or not, I don't think they might throw in the Inner Circle sooner because recently it's already been told by Sammy. If you guys saw his recent tweets, he's currently in Egypt, assuming doing a wrestling show. Don't know if they're going to have to wait for him or just move on without him. Don't know exactly what it is, but I can tell this was pretty much pre-taped because he's already in Egypt. But we'll see what happens. Next thing we have is the Bucks talking about they did not want to hear the whole thing with Callis and Kenny, but however they want to focus on their attention towards the winner, the ones that could face for the tag titles. There's two options, but however they were interrupted by Don Callis. They're saying what happened to him a week ago, that they broke Kenny's heart. Even Don Callis was trying to rile him up, trying to make him have that killer instinct that he was known for. And he called him pathetic, all this and that. Now we get to the match that we expected, which Laredo Kid and the Lucha Brothers taking on the Good Brothers and Kenny. The match was unbelievably good. There were too many spots, but however, it had to happen because you got three of the best luchadors in all of Mexico and the world taking on Kenny and the Good Brothers. But however, it was Kenny who applied the one wing angel on Laredo Kid. As soon as they thought as soon as they won the match, here comes Moxley. He still has unfinished business against him, but apparently he wasn't alone. Apparently the Bucks sided with Moxley. Now, you could say sooner or later they're gonna turn their backs on Moxley, but here's the thing: they don't trust Don Callis no matter what they said. Even Kenny said it himself. He doesn't agree with him, but he needs him. But they don't like that. Don Callis thinks he knows better what's best for everyone. But there was that thing, if you guys recall, in Being the Elite, where of course we saw the Bucks were trying to do the Shield thing, where they have all three of their hands like acting like a like a cohesive unit. But I don't know if that's going to be a part of the thing they're going to do, like a new version of the Shield, but under Moxley's control. But we'll see what happens. Now, as you know, people talk what a great match the unsanctioned lights out match between Rosa and Baker was. Once again, Britt Baker decided to say people are still talking about her. But however, she's saying that Thunder Rosa's winning the match that she won doesn't count. I don't think it matters because fans will always say she's the best. So basically, that's how it works. Now we got to the anticipated other match, the women's tag team match, Nyla Rose and the Bunny. This all started when, of course, Nyla Rose came out and attacked Tay Conti after losing to her. And then Hikaru Shida came out to deal with Nyla Rose, knowing that she is still gunning for a title. But however, the Bunny decided to gain the attention, and Matt Hardy goes out saying this whole thing with the women's AEW World Title Eliminator was a sham, that the Bunny was not involved, so he wants to prove it. But however, as Matt Hardy was there supporting Nyla and the Bunny, the Dark Order were there too, but the whole thing became lopsided with too many moving parts, but the Bunny used the kendo sticks on Tay Conti. So we'll see what happens down the road. Now, the Jurassic Express, as you know, they had to deal with the new this new tag team. I don't know if they're officially with AEW. We're talking about Bear Country. They decided they're going to have a match against Bear Country next week. But the funny part that ended, they were talking about Godzilla versus Kong. And Marco Stunt had the audacity to have a Kong tat on his forearm right here. I thought it was funny. Now it's main event time, the Arcade Anarchy match, which is Miro, Kip Sabian, along with Penelope Ford taking on Orange Cassidy and Chuck Taylor. I have to say the match was kind of interesting and fun because a lot of arcade stuff were out there. Of course, you had to use a whack-a-mole. And of course, Chuck brought out Legos. And he got in the back of it. But however, the match could have gone in Chuck and Orange's way. But if it wasn't for Penelope Ford pulling Aubrey Edwards out, she said she had to do it. She had no choice. Even Orange tried to confront her, but what she didn't realize, a familiar person from her past has come back. We're talking about the resident alien, Chris Statlander. She shows up, dealt with Penelope Ford, and put her through one of those air hockey tables. But however, Miro tried to deal with Orange and Chuck, but as soon as they were trying to leave, these two car lights just appeared, and a mysterious white van shows up, and that's like, it gotta be Sue. And of course, it was Sue bringing Trent, who we haven't seen for quite some time. The best friends are officially back, and of course, Miro tried to spook Sue, but the best part is how it ended. Trent took care of Miro while Chuck Taylor took care of Kip Sabian, put him through a stack of tables, allowing himself to win. And of course, we saw the infamous hug that we loved so much. And of course, as Excalibur says, give the people what they want, but apparently it did not end there. Here comes Chris Statlander. I'm not sure if she's officially with the Best Friends, but I would like to see that. And of course, you gotta thank Sue for bringing Trent along back to AEW, which is a lot of fun to watch. I love watching Sue. So I have to say it was a fun match. So I think that's it. So let's move on with NXT. Alright, so NXT. It started out with the opening match with Roderick Strong and Cameron Grimes. Now keep in mind, this whole thing started a week ago. Cameron Grimes, he thinks that he can buy things now that he's wealthy. He thought by reforming a new Undisputed Era, but however, Roderick Strong was not interested, so he sucker punched him. He has no interest in trying to reform it in the Undisputed Era due to the fact because of what happened. This feud between Cole and O'Reilly kind of affected him a lot. But once again, Cameron Grimes decided to play mind games, brought a undisputed armband and distracted him. And it kind of affected a lot. He should have learned to keep his mouth shut. But however, because of what happened, he was part of the 12-man gauntlet match for the NXT North American Championship. He decided to walk out, said he was done. And of course, what's his name? Wade was saying he can't leave. He's part of a big match, but this whole thing with Undisputed Era broke him. So we don't know if he'll be back because we've seen the same thing with Austin Theory. We could see him come back as a new type of wrestler, a new type of gimmick that could work for him. I mean, maybe that's what they're going to do with him now. Now that the Undisputed Era is done, I think it was something that it was expected. Now, as you know, we are expecting for a ladder match for the unification of both cruiserweights. As you know, recent in NXT UK, Jordan Devlin did one of those things called the Open Challenge. Now Santos decided to do the same thing because he wants to prove that he is the true cruiserweight champion. He's saying Jordan Devlin is the one carrying the fake title. No. Jordan Devlin never lost the title. And he thinks people forgotten about him. Now, nope, people forgotten about him. But however, the person who answered the challenge is Tyler Breeze. But he had a very powerful message saying that you may have come from a bloodline of wrestlers down in Mexico. Guys like him, they work real hard to get where they want. And he's like the one guy we can't agree upon. Now, the match could have gone in either way, but if it wasn't for the two dweebs we're talking about, Joaquin Wilde and Raul Mendoza, it would have gone to Breeze. But however, it was Santos who won. But MSK comes out and helps them. But once again, they're being distracted. This time, they received a message from their other opponent in the triple threat match for the vacant NXT tag team titles, Grizzled Young Veterans. Once again, the Grizzled Young Veterans saying they will be the ones to win the titles and be recognized as the best tag team in the division. But of course, Legado and MSK will not let that happen. Legado believes they could win because it's their time, but we'll see what happens. My money is either on Grizzled Young Veterans or MSK because we do know Grizzled Young Veterans, if you guys know this or not, they were the first NXT UK tag team champions. Now, recently we have been seeing Gargano has been calling Regal Cuckoo Banana Regal because he thinks he's lost his mind with this gauntlet match. That's what he thinks. He does not want to find an opponent. But however, people are asking. We want a North American Championship match in Stand and Deliver. Gargano doesn't want to, but Regal decided, okay. And of course, Austin Theory tried to be smart, but he's mostly dumb. But it did not work. Now, throughout the entire program, we've been seeing this mysterious dog, like a Pomeranian dog, throughout in every segment throughout the entire programming. We don't know what it was. But as soon as we saw the final clip of that dog, it says, "See you at April 13th, Frankie." April 13th, if believe it or not, is the first ever broadcast premiere of NXT on a Tuesday night. But I think I know who that is, and I will explain that to you guys on the final thoughts. Now, we had an interesting women's tag team match. We got the way Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae taking on Gigi Doran and this other person, I forgot her name, who originally was with Booker T's camp. The match was pretty interesting, but however, you guys can guess that the Way always wins. Now, as you know, recently, the Way believes that they should have been the tag team champions, the NXT women's tag team champions, but they decided they're going to challenge on their time. But however, Moon and Blackheart does not want that. They rather face them, so they picked the time and place. They picked Take Over, Stand and Deliver, which is a good moment because it would be ideal for that. So they're gonna be taking care, doing the TBC or whatever they call it. But it was funny that they used a little rocket launcher on Indy Hartwell just to get into their heads. Thought it was a lot of fun to watch that. Now, we have an interesting match between Zoe Starks and Raquel Gonzalez. This match was unbelievably amazing. Now, despite the fact that Raquel Gonzalez won, I have to say this showed more of Zoe Starks how as a competitor because she does have a potential to be a bigger star. That is something. But of course, Starks had to deal with Dakota Kai on when she got punched, and of course taking her out. But Raquel Gonzalez was once again too powerful. But Gonzalez once again had to deal with Io Shirai, who refuses to stay down. Like, she knows that she bit off more than can chew, but it's not going to stop her. She's always up for a challenge, and that's what she's been doing this entire time. There are those that believe she made a mistake, but Io Shirai, she's always up for a challenge, but the real question is, did she really bit off more than she can chew? I don't know. Alright. As you know, recently we are expecting the Gauntlet Match for the NXT North American Championship. Kushida talks about he is the best submission specialist in the world, but however, someone had to fact check him, and that person was none other than the Bruiserweight. So these two guys are involved in the Gauntlet Match, but we'll see how that goes because this is going to be an interesting match. Now, they did a little thing that's kind of interesting, explaining more of the story between Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole called Prime Target, which is kind of interesting because we need to understand more of their history. We know they met each other in the Independents. They actually showed a clip of them when they were in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Some of you are saying, wait a minute, they were in New Japan? Yes, they were. Because that's how they were recognized as one of the best competitors in the entire world. But their match will take place in NXT TakeOver Stand and Deliver. Now, this next match was supposed to be a tag team match, but it kind of ended up in a handicap. We had Kaden Carter and KZ Kanezaro taking on Xia Li and Tian Shan, the mysterious figure who has Xia Li under her control, but Tian Shan remained in her throne. But Kaden Carter decided to deal with her, but she choked her out and spit out this smoky mist or whatever. But Xia Li took out KZ Kanezaro. But the real question is, are we going to see whoever this Tian Shan is in the ring, or she's just going to sit there acting she is the empress of the world. I don't know. But I'm kind of curious to see her in the ring, what she can do. Now, Raquel Gonzalez, as you know, she pulled up a great victory, but apparently she has to deal once again with Io Shirai while she was attacked from behind. Raquel Gonzalez put her through a wall and telling her to stay down. But come on, Io Shirai doesn't know the meaning of staying down. She is one of the most toughest competitors and a stubborn woman who will refuse to stay down. That kind of shows her character. Now we get to Tommaso Ciampa. As you know, he's facing Walter for the NXT UK title. Now, this is a particularly important match. Walter believes that Tommaso Ciampa is not the same person as remember. Now, you guys remember Tommaso Ciampa. He was this cold-hearted, sadistic person. Some people say he said Walter claims that he's lost touch. But however, Tommaso Ciampa's like saying, is that what you want? You want that Tommaso Ciampa from 3 years ago. You want that guy. He kind of made a lot of compelling points that made him a strong competitor, but the real question is, can he be the one to dethrone Walter? Walter is the current and longest reigning NXT UK champion. That kind of sets the bar. But we'll see in TakeOver what happens. Now we get to the Gauntlet Match, which is big. Now here are the rules. Originally it was supposed to be 12, but now it's 11. Whoever are the last 6 competitors are to be the ones in next week's Gauntlet Match. But whoever are the 6 are the ones are the entry point. The first one who gets eliminated once we get to number 1 will be in. But it started out with Swerve Scott coming out, but he was attacked by Leon Ruff because, as you know, Scott believes that he's sick and tired that Leon Ruff was getting opportunity. But however, I'll tell you who actually got the whole thing from 1 to 6. We got Leon Ruff, Isaiah Swerve Scott, Bronson Reed, Cameron Grimes, Dexter Lumis, and LA Knight. Now, much of the match, Dexter Lumis was in the corner. He wasn't messing around with everybody. And of course, the feud between Dunn and Kushida ignited. But they will face each other in NXT TakeOver Stand and Deliver. But of course, LA Knight, when he won, he tells him that he will be the one to dethrone Johnny Gargano. This is going to be interesting to see. Don't get me wrong, but I can't wait to see how that happens. Now, the event wasn't over. Io Shirai once again called out Raquel Gonzalez. Gonzalez had it with her. She's telling her to stay down, but like I said, she refuses. She even took her out. Almost the entire women's locker room tried to separate them, but nothing was going to stop her. But the real question now remains. Can Io Shirai retain her title at NXT TakeOver? We just gotta wait and see, because did she really bit off the more that she can chew? Or somehow she will overcome against Raquel Gonzalez? I don't know. But, as you know, this is like the go-home show before NXT TakeOver Stand and Deliver. Let's give out my final thoughts. What did I thought about both shows? I have to say there were certain things I did like. For example, the main event from AEW was the best for me because sooner or later we were expecting Trent to come back. Now, I want to be honest with everybody right now. You're probably going to kill me for this. I kind of forgot about Chris Statlander. Yeah, I forgot about her. I mean, I knew she was out on injury, but I kind of forgot about her. But it did make more sense that she showed up because if you guys have been watching Being the Elite, there was like a kayfabe story with Chris Statlander, our resident alien, and of course the King of Sloth Style, Orange Cassidy. They seem like they act like a boyfriend and girlfriend, but don't get me wrong, Chris Statlander does have a real life boyfriend. If you guys want to know who that guy is, it's Caleb with the K from Impact, and he was also Suicide. But I don't know. But I did like how the whole thing ended where we missed the hugs between the best friends. And of course, you got Chris Statlander joined in. And don't forget Sue. I mean, who could forget Sue being the one to drive Trent during the porn match in Fyter Fest? And of course, when Santana and Ortiz wrecked her car and then she flipped off the camera when their son and Trent and Trent and Chuck and Orange took care of Santana and Ortiz. But the ending was a lot of fun in my opinion. But what other matches I did like? I mean, the in-ring debut match of Christian Cage, I have to say, it was pretty decent and good because, of course, we're all expecting Christian to go for the title, but I don't think they're going to go like that. If you must remember, every pay-per-view is every 4 months. The next pay-per-view is going to be in May for Double or Nothing. But I hope they build up the story for that, which is something we would like to see. Two Canadians facing off each other. But don't know. But of course, the thing with Moxley and Bucks. Now, I don't know if this was something that was planned because, as you know, we all know the history with Moxley, why he showed up to AEW, and then there was that tease where, well, sort of like the Bucks were trying to do the Shield thing with Moxley. Because you got to remember, could we expect another version of the Elite, but this time the Bucks with Moxley? I mean, that would be cool. I mean, it's not going to be like the Shield, but it would be like a Shield mixed with the Elite. That's just me saying. Now, NXT, what I did like, I have to say, I did like the Gauntlet because it kind of told the story. Who are the 6 competitors they will be facing? But of course, Gargano is like saying that William Regal is unfit. I mean, I like that story. What's so big? But the one thing I think everybody wants to know, who in the hell is this woman who brought out a dog? I actually have the scoop on that. It's already been spreading. If you guys know this or not, this could be Taya Valkyrie. Now, as you know, she is no longer under contract with Impact. She actually took a deal with WWE, and she's in NXT, but there is talk that she may have a new name and a new gimmick. Now, some of you who know Taya Valkyrie, you probably say, she's supposed to be in the main roster. She has years of experience. I mean, she was trained with Lance Storm. I'm like, yes, we would like to see that, but whatever the reason is, she just, I don't know if it's the right moment for her to go to the roster. You got to keep in mind, the only two people who just skipped the NXT program was in fact AJ Styles and of course Dominic Mysterio, Rey Mysterio's son. I mean, I'm up forward to see Taya going to the main roster, but however, you got to keep in mind, like, I think they pick out the ones who feel right to go straight to the top. But I don't think I will have a problem with her being in NXT. But of course, you got to build up the story. Now, could she be the next competitor to face for the NXT Women's title if somehow Io Shirai retains it or Raquel Gonzalez wins it? I don't know. But I like how they're building up the story with Raquel Gonzalez and Io Shirai, because Io Shirai doesn't want to take it easy. She wants the toughest competitors, the ones that most likely could win, could possibly beat her or not. But it's going to be an interesting matchup to see, and I can't wait how this is going to go. Now, as I saying, this is the final go home NXT show before NXT Takeover Stand and Deliver. I hope you guys get to see it. Keep in mind, also a reminder, April 13th, first day NXT will be on a Tuesday. I hope everybody is ready to see WrestleMania, even though I don't follow the SmackDown or Raw that much. But I will review WrestleMania on a Sunday once we know it's 2 days. But for now, I must say I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time on the same DWZ channel. So I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.